Welcome back to Martial Arts in Chinese Literature and Films. In this short lecture, we'll briefly introduce the director of Hero, Zhang Yimou, and then review some important aspects of the film. Please make sure that you have already watched the film before proceeding. If you have taken a Chinese film class, you must have watched a film or two directed by Zhang Yimou. Born in 1951, Zhang Yimou is the most iconic figure of the fifth generation 第五代 director in China. The so-called fifth generation refers to directors whose creative career began in the 1980s, about a decade after the conclusion of the Cultural Revolution in 1976. Many of these directors graduated from the Beijing Academy of Film, 北京电影学院, and their films represent a bold, critical perspective on Chinese society and history. These films established the reputation of Chinese art house film abroad and remain central to studies of Chinese films in the West. Zhang Yimou's early works that represent the fifth generation include Raising the Red Lantern, 大红灯笼高高挂, and Judou. Red Lanterns portrays a young concubine's repressed and twisted life in a polygamous household in early 20th century China. Judou, having a similar historical setting, depicts the abuse experienced by a young woman who was forced to marry an old man running a dye shop, and her affair with the husband's nephew. These films are deeply critical of China's patriarchal tradition. In 1994, Zhang Yimou released another major work of his, To Live, 活着. Based on Yu Hua's novel, the film traces a family's experience across 3 generations through the upheavals of 20th century Chinese history. Through his work from Red Lanterns to Live, Zhang Yimou became the best-known Chinese director in the West, winning many international awards. However, his work remained controversial in China and was sometimes banned, whereas some viewers argue that his films express a critical spirit and innovative artistic vision. Others have charged him for catering to the Western audience by setting a dark and exotic version of Chinese culture. After To Live, Zhang Yimou experimented with lighter topics. Some of these films reflect changes in China through processes of modernization and urbanization. Some of them offer nostalgic visions about the countryside. The film Hero, which is released in 2002, is Zhang Yimou's first ancient costume film. As mentioned in the previous lecture, Zhang Yimou was in part inspired by the resurgence of the historical memory about the first emperor of Qin in Chinese cinema. Meanwhile, An Li's 2000 martial arts film, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, won an Oscar as the best foreign language film, indicating the potential of the genre. The production cost of Hero is said to be around $30 million, making it the most expensive film made in China during the time. Released in Chinese theaters in October 2002, it also became the highest-grossing film of the year, earning 250 million in RMB, or approximately $38 million. In 2004, Miramax released the film in American theaters, and Hero became the first Chinese-language movie to place #1 at the American box office and stay in that position for 2 consecutive weeks. The film went on to earn 53.7 million in the United States and 177 million worldwide. So we can see Hero is a huge commercial success. This success had much to do with the film's arresting visuals and a star-studded cast. The Kung Fu megastar Jet Li, Li Lianjie, played the protagonist, Nameless. The actors for Broken Sword and Snow, Tony Leung, Liang Chaowei, and Maggie Cheung, Zhang Manyu, are Hong Kong superstars, and they co-starred in Wong Kar-wai's acclaimed 2000 romantic drama In the Mood for Love, 花样年华. The supporting character Sky is played by the Hong Kong Kung Fu star Donnie Yen, Zhen Zidan, later known for his Ip Man, Ye Wen series. Moon, Broken Sword's mate in the film, is played by Zhang Ziyi, then a rising star who just became internationally known through her role as the female protagonist in An Li's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Finally, the actor of King of Qun is Chen Daoming, a very established actor based on mainland China. After Hero, Zhang Yimou went on to make several more ancient costume films. He also served as the main director of the opening ceremony of the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Many saw Hero as a watershed in Zhang Yimou's career when he turned from underground to mainstream. The Hollywood-level investment and box office record of Hero further manifests the beginning of blockbuster era 大片时代 in Chinese cinema, as Chinese filmmakers, in the context of China's rapidly developing economy, started to gain resources and markets to enjoy a level of commercial success once exclusive to Hollywood films. While Hero is commercially successful, its content is highly philosophical and artistic, similar to An Li's Crouching Tiger. After watching the film Hero, for instance, you must have noted that it presents multiple and conflicting narratives about the same event. The film thus evokes the modernist literary trope of the unreliable narrator and pays homage to Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon, the classic Japanese film which presents different perspectives on the murder case. Hero uses different color schemes for the various versions of the assassination plan: red, blue, green, and white. These colors have rich symbolic meanings. Red represents the motif of strife and jealousy in the assassins' relations. Blue expresses romance, trust, and companionship, as represented by the breathtaking lake scene. Green is related to an awakening to peace and non-violence. White, finally, is the setting for Broken Sword and Flying Snow's double suicide. Hero's stunning visuals and a sophisticated artistic approach are almost universally acknowledged. Its plot nevertheless caused broad controversy in the early 2000s. By leading the assassins to renounce the plan to assassinate the first emperor, the film Hero seems to have subverted and even betrayed the cultural tradition embodied by Sima Qian's assassins. For viewers attached to Zhang Yimou's earlier works that represent the spirit of the fifth generation, Hero felt like setting out. Some even charged it as a paean to totalitarianism. One critic against Hero, for instance, thus commented, "Images of uniformed soldiers, forests of arms and flags, and huge waves of dust are all used by him to show off the great power of an empire and the strength of unified will." Some viewers, however, believe that Hero presents a more complex vision on power. One critic, for instance, points out that even the King of Qun is lost to the machinery of power he has fostered. At the end of the film, the Qun king himself is helpless to make an independent judgment to save the assassin Nameless, despite his own personal feelings and supposed supreme power, since the impersonal and relentless Qin bureaucratic legal machinery demands the execution of Nameless. One observation by Jet Li, the Kung Fu megastar playing as Nameless, is notable for indicating the lack of a final moral or narrative authority in the film. In his words, Zhang Yimou wanted to explore what kind of person can become a hero within the framework of fighting, politics, romance, and jealousy. Is it the conquering king? The assassins? The killer of the assassins? Perhaps all of them can be considered heroes, if highly misguided. Another critic holding a similar view about Hero points out the prominent image of emptiness in the film, commenting that Hero celebrates absence as spectacle. It glorifies absolute renunciation and perfect non-violence as preconditions for peace. As filmed philosophy, it is both historically apt and disquietingly contemporary, challenging any state or empire that strives for total power. The open-ended nature of Hero may remind us of the mysterious, relative nature of Dao De Jing, or of the Taoist tradition in general. There are indeed many questions for us to consider and discuss. For instance, do you agree with Nameless' final decision? Did Nameless change in the film? Did the King of Qin change through his dialogue with Nameless? Did they somehow develop a Zhiji-like friendship through the conversation? Is the film's ending meant to be sincere or somewhat ironic? There is also abundant signs of complex Wenwu relations in the film. For instance, the film especially refers to the King of Qin's unification of writing and portrays the people of Zhao's resistance through practicing their writing in the calligraphy school. Moreover, the film frequently draws association between martial arts and calligraphy, and Broken Sword's calligraphy work with the character Sword, Jian, appears throughout the film as a major visual symbol. How should we disentangle these Wenwu relations? Finally, one important concept that appears towards the end of the film is that of Tianxia. Translated in the English caption as Our Land, Tianxia is the term Broken Sword presents to Nameless to dissuade him from the plan to assassinate the King of Qin. Literally, this term means all under heaven. It is an ancient term having very complex meanings. On the one hand, it represents the emperor's authority over all his subjects as the son of heaven. On the other hand, aligned with Confucian moral theory, all under heaven also designate people's will, support, and welfare. In the context of Hero, which reading of Tianxia we should follow? Meanwhile, whereas both Broken Sword and Nameless turn to a unification vision in the name of all under heaven, Flying Snow, the female assassin, remains adamant in her determination. Snow is primarily driven by the mission of filial revenge and embodies the remnant of a more traditional image of the assassin. What is her role in a story that seems to affirm a new moral order and new world order? What's the implication of the double suicide of the lovers in the end? Whatever our interpretations of these questions are, Hero is a haunting film and illustrates the rich artistic potentials of martial arts films. Its complex themes and contexts bridge China's past and present, as well as China and the globe. I look forward to discussing this fascinating film with you soon.